Tube rolling. What on earth have I let myself in for? Do I look like a tube rolling enthusiast? I'll let you make a judgment on that. But it's a popular hobby. It's an audio hobby, and many audio enthusiasts take it very seriously. Notice I didn't say audiophile there. You can be an audiophile simply by throwing a lot of money at your system. But to be a tube rolling enthusiast, hey, you've got to be prepared to go a lot deeper, a hell of a lot deeper. So what I have here is the xDuoo TA-26, and I'm going to roll some tubes with it. Well, I'm going to roll one tube, and I have audio demos for you, not just a load of chat. But before I say let's roll, let's unbox. I think we can see that we're dealing with a serious piece of equipment here. Maybe the case isn't lead-lined, but it feels like it is. And you can plug the mains cable directly in. No power brick. Yay! What you will already have seen all across the web, YouTube and elsewhere are amplifiers that feature tubes, valves or whatever you want to call them. As is the current fashion, they're normally on show. Ease of view, ease of damage. Maybe it's a fad. Maybe it's what buyers genuinely want. I'm not here to judge, merely to comment. But what's different here is that this amp, it's a headphone amp by the way, a very big and heavy headphone amp, but I thought I'd clear that up just in case. What's different with this amp is that it's a genuine tube amp. Other than what looks like a bridge rectifier inside, all the amplification is done using electrons in a vacuum. Other products that feature tubes use them as a buffer or a parallel signal path to add tube warmth. Warmth being a nice way of describing distortion. I have to say, though, that the tube-assisted amps, as I shall call them, that I've tested have been remarkably clean. If the point was to add distortion, then that's a fail. If the point is to add some mysterious, unmeasurable quality that only tubes can provide, well, success, I guess. Even if I personally find it difficult to hear. I'm not going to complain, though. I've had a lot of products on my test bench lately, and I can't complain about value for money, nor excellent listening satisfaction, at least for me, with my obviously aging ears. But this, as I said, is a genuine tube amp, unless there's a Class D chip hidden away somewhere I can't see. So what we would expect to hear is genuine tube warmth. And you're going to hear it in my audio demonstrations. So, in more detail, what do we have? Well, firstly, we have not one, but two tubes. Two tubes for stereo, right? Now, each tube handles both channels. The preamp tube, as xDuoo calls it, is a Type 6N8P dual triode. The buffer tube, again, as xDuoo calls it, is the Type 6N5P, also a dual triode. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Not so much for money-chucking audiophiles, but for genuine enthusiasts. What I'm going to say here is that the world of tubes is big. In fact, I'd call it a whole universe, a whole scary universe. Scary. Now, let me say this, I'm not your original dyed-in-the-wool tube enthusiast. Growing up in the early days of transistors, tubes to me are for old duffers sipping warm beer in smoke-filled rooms, talking triode this, pentode that. Oh, and electric guitarists where tubes are really part of the instrument. I'm plenty enthusiastic on that. But now, in hi-fi, we have a tube revival. I don't have any personal background. Transistors, yes. Who doesn't like a good old BC 109 or 2N3055? So when I start looking at tubes, it's all rather bewildering. Such a range of type numbers, so many manufacturers, Russian tubes, Chinese tubes, new old stock tubes, second-hand tubes. Really, you'd need a tube expert to guide you through all of this. But my innocence in this field puts me in the role of potential enthusiast. Like you, I'll bet. You're curious about tubes. Maybe you've tried a tube-assisted amp already, but you want to get into the real thing. And you want to have a go at tube rolling. You can relax. We're all in this together. Audio demonstrations are coming up, I promise. But let's handle the technical stuff. This is an OTL amp. OTL. You realise that these arcane abbreviations are meant to keep insiders in and outsiders out? Output transformerless. No output transformer. That's all it is. Tube amps generally do have output transformers. Tube circuits tend to have loads of volts but not so many amps. So a transformer can swap volts for amps and provide a low impedance output. An amp that drives speakers or headphones should ideally have a very low impedance output. Given that the impedance of a real-world speaker or headphone driver will vary with frequency, potential dividers and all that, a low output impedance will deliver a flatter frequency response to your ears. But the xDuoo TA-26 is OTL, no transformer. So, according to the manual, the output goes through capacitors instead. Both transformers and capacitors will get rid of any DC component in the signal, but only a transformer can lower the output impedance. The end result here is that the output impedance is quite high. The knock-on effect of that is that this amp is likely to work better with high impedance headphones. The manual states 60 ohms to 600. This is a bit of a blow, since my headphones are 32 and my other pair 8. I'm still waiting for a kind manufacturer to send me some high impedance headphones to test. Anyway, my audio demonstrations will be directly into a high impedance input. So for the purpose of this video, it won't be a problem. Is this a problem for the buyer? I'm going to spin this that it's part of the audio enthusiast experience. You buy this amp, clearly that's what you want. And you're going to get it. I'll throw in another spec here that the power output is rated at 500 milliwatts. Not the highest I've encountered, but I took a listen on my clearly inappropriate headphones and it actually didn't sound bad. But I'm not testing in ideal conditions, so I'll move on from that. My audio demonstrations, as I said, will be into high impedance, so there'll be no problem. I'll throw in a quick mention at this point that the headphone outputs are on 1/4-inch jack and a 4.4mm balanced output. A pair of aux outputs on the back take the signal from the tubes, so you can connect to a power amp and speakers and get that tube goodness, making your speakers more flavourful, as it says in the manual. Now, what about the rolling, tube rolling, not rolling coal, which is a completely different thing for completely different enthusiasts. When I first looked at the publicity for this amp, unless I dreamt it, it was available with different tubes. I can't find that page on the web now, but nonetheless, I have an extra tube to roll with. It's a Ray Tube Select 6SN7. Ray Tube. Okay, I get it. Cathode rays. It'll cost you $64.99 USD for a single. Don't worry. You can pay up to $749.99 for a similar tube of a different brand on Amazon. My affiliate link is in the description. Tell you what, let's just do the tests. Actually, I've already done them. I have a music clip that I think will show up any differences between the clean audio and the amp, and also the amp with the rolled tube. The first clip will be the clean audio, then the standard tube, then alternating between clean and standard tube. I'll do clean again, then the 6SN7 tube, alternating clean and 6SN7. Finally, the standard tube alternating with the posh tube. Here we go.
You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust. You and I, the last man and woman left alive. Will we say goodbye? Will we make love for one last time? Because we must, never mind. He's dead inside, and she's as barren, barren, barren as the dust.
Okay, I'll upload my video with lossless audio. What gets through to you is unfortunately going to be lossy, and you're not going to hear everything that perhaps could be heard in the original. But you'll get the gist, and I'd say that some knowledge is better than no knowledge at all. The thing is, though, that I reckon I do hear a difference. But I don't think that it's the magic of tubes that one might hope for. I hear a wandering stereo image. It's only slight, and it could well be that I'm imagining it. Or it could be the connections of the valves in their sockets, maybe my cables, but unlikely since I don't hear any similar problem in my tests of other equipment. Or maybe it is the tube magic, affecting different frequencies, different combinations of sounds, differently. I'd have to say, though, if I'm not imagining it, that I prefer a steady stereo image if that's how things were in the original recording. Anyway, this is just a flavour of the amp. Bite size, but with tube source. Do I have a conclusion? Yes, this is a very nice thing. If you buy it, you'll have pride of ownership, which is, I think, something that's important. You won't be unsatisfied with any aspect of the build or appearance. I think that if you just want to listen to music on headphones, get a DAC with a headphone output. If you want the illusion of warmth, get a tube-assisted amp. If you really want to hear tubes, get this, or one like it. And if you want to become a true tube enthusiast, then get yourself some extra tubes and start rolling. As I said earlier, there's a whole scary universe of tubes to explore. See you soon.